Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Lore Lords episode 15, featuring myself, Atlas669, as your host, and my co-host, Pat.
Hello.
Today's
your boy.
Today's episode is we're going to hand it off to Pat. He's going to be taking the reins to lead us down a wonderful Japanese story that we all know and love, super deep to our hearts.
Yeah, it's personally Atlas's absolute favorite anime of all time. He's told me multiple times. He said he was so excited about this. He told me multiple times, please do this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a big fan of anime, and I've watched so many of them, but one of them really sticks out. One of them really sticks out among the pack.
But as I did say, it is known as one of the most controversial as well, because its fan base is incredibly loyal. The people who made it through, or at least got to certain points, I think, understood like why it was really great. No, it's not One Piece, Grand Fubar. It's Naruto. Though One Piece is too. I'd like to do One Piece because every now and again, my finger hovers over it in Funimation. I'm like, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll watch One Piece, and then I see how many episodes it is, and I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not doing that. No, it's the boy Naruto Uzumaki. That's right. It is on like.
Wait, is the main character called Naruto?
Yes, his name is Naruto.
I
Naruto
thought
Uzumaki.
I just called him that as a joke because I thought that was the name of the show.
Yeah, no, it's about him.
Oh, now that people out there
know his
no,
name?
I didn't know that. Listen, if you're listening to this and don't know anything about me, I've seen the amount of anime I've seen. I can count on one hand.
Yeah,
and I'm not into that life. I don't think. I think it's a lot of it's just too weird for me, and this is one of them.
Understandable. So. This is one of them. But what's really nice about Naruto is where it takes from is like basically a lot of like Shinto Buddhism and particularly feudal Japan. It's like. Basically, it's feudal Japan with a couple of modern day technological upgrades. Like because of their, it's kind of one of those things where because of their abilities and powers, they don't need some of the things that we need, so they can just like they're like no, we don't need cars because we can like move quicker. You know what I mean? We don't need these things. You know, I think they don't even have trains. I don't know. I don't remember that. There's trains in Naruto, but there's power lines. I think they even have radios and TVs. So there's stuff like that, but like there's nothing, you know, there's no, I think they don't have like computers, so there's no video games unfortunately, but I guess when you can like be a mage IRL, it doesn't really matter. Some anime is great, some anime is shit, some are both, and that's true. And honestly, Naruto kind of has that reputation because honest to God, I'm a type of fan who can like look at something that I love and completely admit when something's bad. And there are so many problems with Naruto, but none of it is like on the core. Like the core of Naruto is genuinely good. There are sort of trains. Actually, there is some truth to what Atlas put in the stream. If you were watching the stream live, there is a picture of Goku wearing orange, his custom orange and blue gi, and Naruto also wears orange and blue. Oh my god, I already forgot the guy's name. I pronounced his name like 6 times this morning. I kept trying to remember the guy who wrote Naruto, and I already forget his name. But he said that one of the reasons why he made Naruto's orange and blue was wholeheartedly because of Goku.
Wait, isn't it the same people? I thought it was the same people as Dragon Ball.
No. I mean, it's shown in Jump, but it's like it's different writer.
Oh, I thought it was. I knew like Toriyama didn't make it, but I thought it was like some of the same. Okay.
He may have helped produce it at some point. He may have jumped in as a producer when he saw it was fucking taking off. But like, but the thing about like, to start off to talk about Naruto a little bit as an anime, this is going to be the part that like you hate the most, is that like as a fan. I remember very much disliking it as a kid when I first started watching it because I thought that the main 3 characters, and this is true to this day, and you can literally like small hands. They are small. Look at those tiny little hands. Anyway, so I remember thinking that like the main 3 characters were really, really fucking annoying. Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto. All 3 of them were crazy fucking annoying. And when you have a show where the three main characters are annoying, you don't really want to watch it. Now, I don't know if it's ever been stated or if it's or what, but there's a theory that it was intentionally written that way to make these genuine 12-year-old, 13-year-old kids like annoying as fuck. Because truth is, 12, 13-year-olds are kind of fucking annoying. They're really annoying, and they're very singular. Sakura is boy crazy. Sasuke is single-minded and, quite frankly, edgy as fuck. And Naruto's a loudmouth, useless idiot. Literally, Naruto's dumb. He can't do anything. At the beginning of the show, he, can't get anything. He's bad at everything he tries. Sasuke is gloomy and has one singular purpose, and he wants to kill his brother because of a bullshit thing that I really shouldn't. I don't know if I should spoil, but I guess it's been years. I guess I can just say it. But he wants to kill his brother because his brother accidentally saved everybody. It's a long story. I'm not going to get into that at all. And then there's Sakura, who's just boy crazy. She's literally just obsessed with Sasuke. She just wants to date him. And he doesn't have anything. He doesn't give a fuck about her at all. He's just like, no, I just want to kill my brother. That's it. And this doesn't make for, honest to God, like a very good start of a show. And I remember there were only a few moments in the very first season that got to me, and it wasn't until basically they set out onto their first adventure. So the first few episodes, they're like training and whatever. By the way, my favorite character in Naruto is Kakashi Sensei. I fucking love Kakashi. He is... If I actually was told to look at like the first bit of Naruto from not the perspective of those kids, but from his perspective and like him being the main character, and if you do that, it definitely makes it more tolerable. Because it's basically like a 30-year-old guy who has a really dark and mysterious past who's now taught to basically teach these three bratty kids how to become like competent warriors. And he basically is exhausted with them by the end of it. But at the same time, he encourages them in their own unique way. He's very good teacher and personally my favorite character. Not the one I relate to. I've always related to Naruto very much because I've always been a loudmouth guy. I mean, I'm sure you all know. One of the reasons why a lot of you follow me on my channel, www.twitch.tv/PatWeston,
is because he never shuts up.
I don't. One of the reasons I'm a good streamer is because I don't shut the fuck up. Yeah, Lazy Cthulhu Itachi, baby.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's an actual talent.
Yeah, but no, I am glad I don't shut the fuck up because it's fun to stream and it's fun to talk. But I also related to Naruto because when I was around his age, I definitely had really no skills to my, like I hadn't picked up the guitar until I was 13, and I wasn't really good at that until I was in college. Excuse me. Ooh. It's a little spicy burp for you guys. I wasn't really a singer until middle high school, so like my junior year is when I started becoming a good singer. I didn't know how to write. I didn't take any writing courses until high school. So I had basically no talent for anything at all, and but I wanted to, and I would yell at people about how amazing I'd be one day, very similar to Naruto, and I remember feeling very related to him in that way, not as a kid, but like as an adult, like because I did like a Naruto rewatch like 3 or 4 years ago, and I remember while I was watching it, I got really choked up watching this really annoying character kind of grow into his own, because I was like, oh, I was that kid. I was so fucking annoying. Other people couldn't stand me. I got into fights. I acted out when I shouldn't have. You know, the only difference between Naruto and I is I had parents. Though I would say that my parents are very similar to Naruto's parents when you figure out who they are. Oh, it's a big deal. I mean, you kind of know. Like, it kind of tells you. The show, it kind of does a show don't tell moment where it's just kind of like, look, this is obviously his dad.
His dad's his brother.
Yep, it's a whole ancestral thing. Welcome to feudal Japan, baby.
Whoa!
No, I'm just kidding. That's not the feudal Japan that they they mirror in the show. But we'll get to that part. Again, we have to talk a little bit about Naruto lore to build into the actual thing. But anyway, what I love about Naruto Uzumaki's arc in particular is that his main arc basically ends 2/3 of the way through the original show Naruto. And the original show Naruto, if I'm not mistaken, is if you're watching the show, not reading the manga, is only like, I think it's like 90 to 100 episodes or 110 episodes, the original show. If you cut out all the filler, because I don't watch the filler because I don't care. It might be good. I don't care. I just don't care. Anyway, I want to watch the main shit. What matters to the story. But, so if you don't watch the filler, it's like about that long. And Naruto fulfills his arc basically, again, like I said, about 2/3 in, when, like, at the very end of what's referred to as the Chunin exams arc, one character that is seen at this point in the story as a bad guy named Gara loses control of his inside beast called the One Tail. The One Tail is this mythical creature. Again, we'll actually get into this in terms of actual feudal Japan lore and stuff. But the One Tail is basically a giant sand tanuki.
Oh.
Yep, and it's because tanukis in ancient Japan, we'll talk about it right now, in ancient Japan folklore are actually mystical to some degree. They have some kind of magical ability.
Real big balls.
Yeah, real big balls. And they have huge nuts. They do.
Yeah.
They have huge testicles. Yeah, Shikaku is the name of this gigantic one-tailed beast. And Gara loses control of the Shikaku, and Naruto raises to the occasion and beats it, which is like basically like the equivalent of stopping an atomic bomb before it goes off, like, which is a huge fucking deal, you know? So then, like, and so Naruto basically by episode, was it like 65 or something like that, he basically he does his arc. He's like, he goes from completely useless pile of garbage to hero of the Hidden Leaf Village. From then on out, he basically is Goku, where like he shows up at the last second and saves the day. Like, it's generally what he does for the rest of the show. So yeah. And for the rest of Naruto, he basically is just like, a rival to Sasuke, because Sasuke's whole arc is that he's trying to be the best ninja in the world so he can go and kill his brother. Meanwhile, Naruto's getting better and better, and he's seeing Naruto surpass him, and he's getting angry. So, somebody who he was once his friend, kind of an annoying. They were kind of friends. I wouldn't really call them friends. Sasuke always thought Naruto was kind of fucking annoying, but he respected him because he kept getting stronger, I guess. Anywho, after a while, Sasuke started getting really upset that Naruto was getting so powerful, especially after Naruto saved the day. Sasuke was like pissed about it, and then all of a sudden, Sasuke's brother shows up, who he wants to kill. But who is he after? No, he's not after him. He's after Naruto. So Sasuke gets even more pissed off, because he's just kind of like, why the fuck do you want him? So he just gets more angry. And that prompts him to leave with an evil character named Orochimaru, which we will actually talk into, because Orochimaru in Japanese folklore is, in fact, a very powerful folklore ninja. Again, not real person. It's a story, but it's an ancient story from, again, around feudal Japan. So it's really exciting. We'll get into that a little bit more, too. So, because that's, again, like, most of the things in Naruto all come from basically like feudal Japan, like ninja, samurai, and then like Buddhism and Taoism. A lot of it basically is that, and then magic powers like Dragon Ball. Like, it's like kind of, and Avatar, kind of like that. It's like if you want to combine, if you want to get a good metaphor on how the powers work, think Dragon Ball plus Avatar. Put them together and you have Naruto's powers. That's a very simplified version. It's actually very complicated, and I'm not going to get into that. We're not going to talk about the boring stuff again, just the kind of fun stuff. But so again, just to get a general understanding about the original Naruto, is he starts off as this really, again, he has this growth. And at the beginning, by the way, I want to point out, he does stop saying believe it. He does. He stopped saying believe it. Like, I think basically halfway through the first arc, or about at the end of the first arc, he stopped saying it all the fucking time. So there is times.
I don't know how he actually said it in the show. I just only know it as a thing from the show.
He says it an annoying amount of times. It's stream. He said it an annoying amount of times in the first arc. But again, you can call this an accident or bad writing, or you can call it meta super genius writing. The characters were really fucking annoying in the first arc, and they become more tolerable as time goes on. Sakura, by the end of like those 90 episodes of Naruto, is no longer like a boy crazy lunatic. Like, she wants Sasuke left with the evil guy Orochimaru. She wants him to come back, but not necessarily just because she's in love with him, but because she's like worried about him. She's like, he's our friend and he went off with this fucking lunatic. We got to save him. Like, and she feels useless doing it. So then she goes and trains with another legendary Sannin named Tsunade, who is another folklore ninja from the past. And she goes and trains with her.
Does this character actually ever fight, or is it like Bulma?
No, she fights. In Shippuden, Sakura actually is like, it is very known in Naruto, especially Naruto proper, that she is borderline useless, and it's
Right.
kind of sucky. It's bad writing. It's just, in my opinion, I just think it's genuinely bad writing. No offense to the writer, but like but there was only really a few good moments where Sakura really shined. In the first one, where like there was a moment in the woods where she like cast aside her desire to be beautiful or whatever, for boys basically, and to fight to defend her friends, which is nice, but it's like, okay. And then the second time is she fights her former best friend, now rival, and it's a really good fight. It kind of, the ending is a little anticlimactic because it ends in a draw. It would have been nice to actually see Sakura take away the win, but that wouldn't move the story along because they needed to like, no, Sasuke needs to get bit by Orochimaru and get poisoned, and then Gara needs to break Rockley's fucking hopes and dreams in front of everybody.
Do you say Rockley?
There's a character named Rockley.
Oh, fuck
you
off.
might actually like this character though.
Is he like the Rock?
No, he's a character who cannot use something called ninjutsu or genjutsu. We'll talk about this too, and a little bit, but because this is all ties into the lore, the actual like feudal Japan lore too. But Rockley can only use taijutsu, which is basically just martial arts. And he can use his inner power to get stronger, but using martial arts. He can't use like any of the fireball techniques or lightning techniques or wind. He can't do any of that shit. He can only punch and kick. But Rockley is so fucking good at it that he can basically beat anybody except like his rival Neji, which is like another character. He's like the only character he basically can't beat until he fights this character Gara. But as we mentioned, Gara earlier has this sand spirit Shikaku inside him, so Gara doesn't really lose fights. He's kind of like got plot armor, so to speak,
right,
attached to him. So he crushes Rockley's hopes and dreams, which is already sad because Rockley worked objectively harder than any of the other ninja to get to where he was. It's actually like a genuinely sad story, and there's like many, like a lot of people's favorite characters are Rockley because he does heal up, he does get better, he does, and like he does make a huge comeback. But at the time, you're like, wow, this character who again worked harder than just about any other character in the show is basically paralyzed, and you're like, fuck. Like, but anyway, it was really good writing, and it was that was great. Again, that's one of those moments that is like, as a reader or a watcher, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe they just did that, and it was good. Yes, it has some of the most heavy, brutal episodes that I've seen. I remember genuinely crying at a few episodes in Shippuden. Like, I might have been awake at 3 a.m. after taking like sleeping pills and still watching anime, but like, you know, college baby, let's go. Having a couple beers at the same time. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Rockley does not learn magic and how to fly. That is not part of the lore. He does learn the drunken fist, however, where he drinks too much alcohol and fights a character and actually like has the upper hand for a very long time, and it's pretty funny. But anyway, that's when he comes back from his injuries. However, so anyway, that's kind of again the general core Naruto story is again this are these characters like Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto. Most people actually would argue that the best characters in Naruto are the supporting characters, like Kakashi Sensei, my favorite character, or Jiraiya Sensei, which is like Yeti Wrangler's favorite character, or like there's a lot of like Hinata is another, like, is a female character that's actually like way better written. You know, like she's way quieter and has fewer lines, but has a way better story than in like any of the other like young girl characters at the time.
I feel like that's pretty common in a lot of stuff where there's the side characters that take all the glory. A great example is like Boba Fett.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
Well, I don't mean the show, just the character Boba Fett is like he does right. Everyone fucking loves Boba Fett. He had one line of screaming. Yeah, and the remakes they made him say he's no good to me dead, and that was it. And that's his only lines, and he was like everyone's favorite character.
I mean, his suit of armor is so cool.
Yeah.
That really just goes to show you that if a good character design can leave an impression, and Boba Fett left a huge fucking impression.
Or like Vincent in Final Fantasy VII, who's not even like part of the story and is optional, but everyone's fucking obsessed with him because he's so edgy.
I remember you mentioning this before, I think. But anyway, so yeah, but there's like that's what makes Naruto, especially the very first Naruto, so great is the side characters that you find along the way. One of my favorite personal characters too is a character named Shikamatu, who's basically the laziest piece of garbage but the smartest kid in the world. Like, he doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to fight. He just wants to sit around, lay in the grass, hang out with his homies, and just like watch clouds go by. That's like all he wants to do all day. But like, you know, he's also a tactical genius, and almost all of his plans go flawlessly. And he's got some really great lines. He becomes a great character and friend to Naruto too, and stuff like that. But and there's a lot to say about like those side characters being the reason why our main three characters, Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto, learn a lot. And grow. Who's the
DILF with the cigarette?
The DILF with the cigarette.
Yeah, there's a character a lot of people like who's like tall and buff, and he has a cigarette in his mouth all the time.
He's kind of Asuma Sensei. Yeah, Blackshuck cosplays him. Asuma Sensei is a great character. Asuma Sensei has one of the, spoiler alert, everybody, has one of the saddest deaths in anime history. Like, because basically every one of his students and some of his friends look on in horror as they can't do anything but watch him like die very painfully in front of them, and it's fucking brutal. But so is the payback later on in the show too. But I love Asuma Sensei. He is a wonderful character.
So now that you know who I'm talking about, is DILF with the cigarette an accurate description?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he literally impregnates a woman in the show. And
nice.
And
so he is a DILF.
Yeah. He knocks up a character. Like, so yeah, no, he's also the son of the third Hokage. So that's kind of neat. Which, by the way, this is where we can start kind of pivoting. So now that we again know side characters support main characters, by the end of the show, main characters kind of are coming into themselves. By the final end of the 90 episodes of Naruto, Sakura is realizing she needs to step up to the fucking plate finally. So that basically is like, now she trains. Naruto goes off with Jiraiya Sensei to train, and Sasuke went off with Orochimaru, the evil guy, to train as well. So we have like our three heroes kind of respectively going their own ways to train at the very end of Naruto, and Shippuden starts with Naruto coming back like 3 years later or 2 years later, something like that. So they're all a little bit more adults and grown up.
Is that his first costume change where he's not all orange?
Yeah, he's orange and black now.
Okay.
In Shippuden, and he's a little taller too. But yeah, so that's when like that Shippuden is when all like the heavy shit goes down. Like you can almost imagine that like they wanted to write Shippuden the whole time, but it would make no sense without Naruto, kind of thing.
Right.
But because again, a lot of it is direct ties to Japanese folklore in the feudal age. So there's so much retellings in the same lessons that were there back then too, and even stories like Journey to the West is like another one that inspired a few things in this story. Obviously, even like I said, like Naruto leaving and training and coming back, and all those different elements. Like those are all very much tied into the things like Journey to the West. So, which is really cool. So and Shippuden again, like in Shippuden is when you realize Sakura's grown up. She literally fights a member of the Akatsuki, and the Akatsuki are basically like, they're all like super ninja. They're all like incredibly powerful, but they're all super fucking evil. So it's really hard to even take one of them down, and they travel in pairs, so it's like really hard to fight them. And Sakura, with the help of somebody else, like takes one down. So it's like, okay, she's not useless anymore. Like, so you're like, okay, great. So like she proved, and that's like within the first, like, I think 30 episodes of the series. So they really want to show you that like, hey, she's good now, guys. We figured her out. So yeah. But and then like again, a lot of the powers have a lot of themes and stuff like that. But we'll get it. But now we can get into it. So there again,
Sakura makes me think of Kairi from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, very big Kairi vibes. Like everyone is in love with her because she's pretty, but she doesn't do anything. And
then she gets a Keyblade. Spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. Sakura basically learns from one of the legendary Sannin, Tsunade, how to be so strong you can basically cause earthquakes with your fists and also heal. Like she becomes a medical ninja, which, you know, classic. The woman becomes a healer.
A medical ninja.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what was that prick? You just got vaccinated. Oh no.
Oh my god.
They're gone. Who said that?
There's actually a really great scene in Shippuden where she like meticulously pulls poison out of somebody, like, and they show you like the thing that I for whatever reason, and I appreciate it as somebody who likes lore, I appreciate it a lot, but I can see how it turned a lot of people off. In Naruto, they will dive deep into how things work. They will like get specifically like to the cellular level on what Sakura is doing in order to save someone. Like that's what like they'll talk about that because they really want you to understand like, no, their magic is very scientific. And it's like, and I like that because I'm like, cool. It almost makes sense. It's almost like, yeah, that's real, you know? But again, it turned a lot of people off because that was sometimes like they'd spend like 5 minutes being like, okay, so this is how chakra works.
Oh, right. Magic lesson.
Exactly.
And they like, pull out the Final Fantasy Aether chart.
Basically, it was really like, it's one of those things as a writer, you're like, show, don't tell, guys. Like you can show all of this without like, you know, necessarily being like, here's a literal chart. Because they literally have like chibi versions of characters sometimes be like, all right, this is how nature chakra works. Everybody has a nature or two in them. Like you might have fire and wind, you know, very Avatar-esque in that sense. Like Naruto is basically an airbender, basically, like because he can use wind really powerfully. Sasuke's fire, basically, but also can use lightning. And Sakura, I think, is earth, technically. I don't know.
Medicine.
Maybe water. Oh no, she's water. I don't fucking medicine. I think it's water because medical ninjas typically are water users.
You can't defeat my ibuprofen jutsu. When you said medical ninja instead of like healing, if you said healing, I wouldn't be on this rant. But now I'm just imagining she's like a PhD ninja.
No, that's what I mean. They kind of are though. They literally study kind of like doctors do. They have classrooms and they do botany and they learn how to make medicines and stuff too, like actual medicines as well, not just like made up shit. Like although made up shit too, a lot of made up shit. But like because there's also a lot of made up poisons.
Penicillin jutsu. Yeah.
Like, oh, don't worry. You hooked up with a burner, Shikamatu? I can help you out. Penicillin jutsu. I mean, there's they make fun of their own jutsu though, because there's literally like Naruto himself comes up with his own jutsu, which is like he just becomes a beautiful naked girl, and it like stuns people.
I'm sorry, what?
Like he has he calls it his sexy jutsu.
Wait, are you serious?
I'm dead serious. In Naruto, because he's a little. At the beginning of the show, he's a little piece of garbage. He's a prankster, little shit. He doesn't care about, like, he says he's going to be the greatest ninja in the world, but all he does is, like, get into fights and cause problems. And one of the things he did is he learned how to transform his body, because in actual feudal Japan and ninja lore, they were masters of disguises. So he learned how to disguise himself as the, like, drop-dead, gorgeous, sexy lady. And, like, he would use it against his teachers and then run away from them and stuff like that. And so, like, there are, like, ridiculous powers that you come up with. Like, there are very insane things you can do. And, again, it all comes down to their whole thing of chakra. Like, by the way, and, again, to get into a little bit of the chakra lore here, chakra is a word that comes from, Hindu and in India more in that regard. But in this show, it works more like chi in Chinese or ki in Japanese. Which is very similar to Dragon Ball, which is basically ki. They use ki. So it works as the same way, but there are some elements still of Hinduism in them, especially when it comes to taijutsu and characters like, we talked about him earlier, Rockley. Since Rockley can't use any magical powers like ninjutsu, which is basically like magical spells, or genjutsu, which is like optical illusions, he can't do any of those things, but he can unlock inner gates, basically. It's kind of like chakra gates, think of it like that. You know, like, oh, my certain chakra gate is opened and stuff like that. But in this case, it makes him ridiculously powerful. So it kind of works in that regard. But again, it works more like chi does, where like the energy is flowing through your body. You release it in a very specific way. If you have a fire nature, you can release it in fireballs. If you have a wind nature, you can release it in wind. But basic chakra can be used to like walk on water, walk up trees, which again were all things in feudal Japan that ninjas were said to be able to do. There were like some legendary ninjas that were thought to never exist, and some of them were definitely not real. Like for example, like Hanzo Hattori, for example,
or like mystical ninja Goemon. He was real. He was a real person.
That's really cool. I didn't know that actually. But there are the thing about ninja in the Naruto world is that like ninja are their military basically, where like It's feudalism. So as you imagine, there are feudal lords who rule over the main countries. There are 5 major nations: the Fire Nation, the Earth Nation, the Lightning Nation, Water, and Sand or Wind, basically. And they all have feudal lords. There's also smaller countries in between all of those. Like those aren't the only ones, but there's like those are the main ones. And all of them have hidden villages. Which actually does come from a myth, because there was a clan that actually trained ninja back in feudal Japan. The Iga clan, Iga, I believe is what it's called. And they had their ninjutsu, and their city was actually surrounded by mountains, and that would get so foggy that it was oftentimes they considered a hidden city. So the Hidden Leaf Village is considered inspired by the actual, in feudal Japan, the hidden village where Iga ninja were trained. So that's kind of cool. So that's a theme that is given throughout the entire series, is every single major nation has a hidden village somewhere, which is basically it's just a city. Honestly, it has its own economy. It has regular people in it too, not just ninja, but it's just like a city full of people. But also it's led by somebody called a Kage, which you've probably heard Hokage before, because I'm gonna be Hokage. If you need the reference.
I don't know. I don't know it.
No, you don't know it. But anyway, so in this feudal world, so yes, they have feudal lords, but they also have the addition of basically kind of like, to some degree, they're like warlords, but kind of like presidents, because they're somewhat elected as well. And they're basically like leader ninja, and they have similar, if not equal power to feudal lords. So like they can... and they use that in this show in Shippuden when they go into the Great Ninja War. Like they have to kind of take control. So the ninja, the Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village, the Kazekage of the Hidden Sand Village, so on. The Kage, basically the collective Kage. They kind of put the feudal lords on lockdown. They're like, all right, we're in charge now. We're at war. You guys just sit in your castles and shut the fuck up. We're gonna go fight the bad guys. But that's how it works. And so like there's shitloads of ninja everywhere at all times. That's a very common thing to be a ninja. And samurai are in this universe as well, but they're not considered to be all that like, they're just kind of like bodyguards for a very specific area, really. They're place called the country of iron or something, or whatever, the land of iron. And it's a very small country in the north, and the samurai live there, and they kind of just like guard a meeting place basically. And they're not particularly strong, but they got kind of cool powers, I guess. I don't know. I mean, whatever. But so samurai are there too, but the ninja are what the prominent ones. Where in real life, samurai were actually pretty prominent. It wasn't too hard to become a samurai.
Samurai were majorly prominent. Ninja were not even real for the most part. They were just they were very hidden, and a lot of samurai were ninjas.
Yeah. Actually, that's something that I was going to talk about. Was that the fact of the matter is that like ninja were oftentimes considered made up. Like there was a lot of people who even pushed the idea that ninjas weren't real. Like they're basically just really good assassins. They
were definitely real, and ninjas existed. And like you mentioned earlier, the Ida clan, the Iga clan, the Oda Nobunaga, very famous guy. He had a daughter who became a Yiga clan assassin, who was one of his bodyguards. And she would always be dressed like a lady of the court, but it's known now after her life that she was a master ninja.
Yep.
So if things were to get bad, she would just fucking assassinate anyone in the courtroom.
Yeah, there's a lot of tricks like that. And a lot of the words like ninjutsu is like they use it in Naruto. That was like a legit thing, because ninja just basically means hidden person if you break down the root word of it. Like nin is like hidden, and then like mono is person. You put that together, it's ninja. But like and so it's like basically just means hidden person.
Yeah.
And anybody could be a ninja, like you said. Like there were samurai that were also ninja. Like their day job was a samurai, but then they got a contract or whatever. They'd go do. They would.
So
maybe
I actually talked to a guy for a long time about it, and he showed me some good source material. Who was an expert on? He was an actual historian on the subject of samurai, and he showed me some stuff, and I looked into it. And being a ninja just meant that you knew ninjutsu. That's literally all it meant, which was a form of fighting. And a lot of samurai every samurai clan had a ninja clan they would work together with, and the ninja clan almost never were people wearing black robes and masks who snuck around. They were just the samurai, and they would wear their armor, and they would, if you had someone who had to be taken out, like and assassinated, you would usually have someone who wasn't a samurai do it, or sometimes you would just have a samurai do it, and the samurai would go duel the person and kill him. Like, that's how it was. A lot of it wasn't as, it's been romanticized super heavily.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like, again, if you think practically, everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, there was no actual evidence at all that ninja wore the black garments and the black masks and hid in the corners of rooms and tiptoed around and, like, you know, like, I'm sure there were a few assassinations like that.
Yeah,
where
so there was,
like, broke in and
there is historical references of ninja attacks on places of them wearing their black stuff. I think they're called togi. That's the name of the outfit they wear. Right. And they're real outfits. It's just that that's the training gear you wear when learning ninjutsu.
I mean, it's very common to wear something like that, and like a gi in general.
Yeah, and you would, of course, wear a mask so people wouldn't see you. But also the ninja mask that we know of isn't really what it was. It's more so a mask almost like you see in Breath of the Wild. That's more so what the ninjas would wear. They would wear the samurai masks. They would have their, like, monster masks on their face to scare people, and there'd be no way to tell who they were.
Yeah, the kabuki masks.
Yeah, and there's a couple incidents of lords.
Well, that's what they do in Naruto too.
Lords having ninja attacks where people would be crawling around their roofs with blowguns, like nailing people and stuff like that. That did happen, but it's just, it was very, very rare. Ninjas were not rare, but ninja activities like that, at least ones that were, you know, talked about afterwards, very rare.
Right. So, like, again, like, it was completely known. It was a big deal there. And they had a lot of folklore that came about, too, because they would tell stories of great ninja. For example, we were talking about them in Naruto. Orochimaru, Tsunade, and Jiraiya the Gallant. And that those are known as the legendary Sannin. And that they were told, like, they were all phenomenal ninja who... The original folklore is that Jiraiya the Gallant was actually a mercenary. And he was like, you know, he'd kill people for money or whatever. But then one day he came across a mystical toad. And the toad basically is just like, hey, you want to change your ways, follow me, and learn the ways of toad magic, basically? And he's like, all right, fuck it. So he basically learned toad magic. He learned how to become a toad, transform into a toad, summon toads, you know, like do things that toads could do. Tsunade had a similar experience. She was a beautiful young maiden. And then came across a slug and learned slug magic.
That's hot.
Yeah, super hot. But it ended up being incredibly useful later on because Orochimaru learned snake magic. And slug beats snake for some reason. I think venom-wise or poison.
Is it like rock, paper, scissors, but toad, basically. Snake, and slug?
Yeah, basically. Like snake beats toad.
Wait, is this Japanese myth or Naruto? I'm lost.
Both. This is literally both. It's This was like back in the day, like, again, Orochimaru learned the snake magic and everything. And then in Naruto, they played these characters off. In the original folklore, Tsunade and Jiraiya fell in love and whatever. But in Naruto, Tsunade and Jiraiya, they love each other, like they're best friends. But she's disgusted by the idea of ever being with him because he's a huge fucking pervert who will, like, spy on people in bathhouses. And, like, he's like, it's pretty great. But he's, like, a little different. But... what he is the same is in Naruto, he's a big, like, show-off kind of thing. He's very eccentric. He has, like, long hair. He has face paint. He would wear masks sometimes and make faces and stuff like that. And in Naruto, he does it the same thing. Like, so both, like, they made him the same way, like, very eccentric and over the top. They made Tsunade still a very beautiful woman, even though she's, like, 60 years old, but she uses some of her power to stay young. But, like, it's part of her power that keeps her young. Like, and then Orochimaru is just like this creepy, like, snake. He talks like this. He's very creepy.
Ooh.
It's not nice. Not nice. He bites people. He gives them curse marks. It's not good. But there's a lot of moves are also based in Naruto are based off of a lot of feudal Japan lore as well. For example, where's the one I like? Where's my notes about this one? This one I like a lot because it's fun. In Naruto, there is a specific clan. It's Sasuke's clan called the Uchiha clan. His full name is Sasuke Uchiha. And the Uchihas have a specific bloodline power that gives them an eyesight ability called the Sharingan, which turns their eyes red and gives them 1 to 3 black, like, what are those called? I forget what they're called. They're the little black marks with the little tails. I forget. But I should have remember what those words are called. But anyway, and what it allows you to do in the show is it allows you to basically read a person's movements almost perfectly before they do it. Like, you can see their intentions, basically. You can see through them. It's very, like, that's a very simplified version of it. What I'm saying, it's more complicated than that, but I'm not going to get into it.
Spider sense.
Basically. Well, that kind of. Yeah, a little bit, maybe. Kind of, it's part of it, but again, it's complicated. I don't want to get into it. But there's a leveled up ability called the Mangekyu Sharingan, which basically upgrades you. And there are 3 abilities that you can learn when you unlock this that are actually based on feudal gods, called Amaterasu, Susano, and the Tsukuyomi. In Naruto, those are moves. Those are like abilities. The Amaterasu is a black fire that burns basically until the caster puts it out on their own, or the power just kind of eventually fades. It can't be put out by water or patting it or covering it. It just will keep burning until the power just fades away or the user turns it off. And it's pretty, as you can imagine, very deadly. The Tsukuyomi is a mind technique that is basically traps your opponent's mind in a place of like infinite hell and torture, even though nothing's actually happening to them. So, like, a character uses against my favorite character, Kakashi. Itachi uses it against him. Basically has him crucified and stabs him in the chest over and over again with, like, a small wakizashi blade for, like, thousands of years. But in reality, it only takes place over, like, a few seconds. But in Kakashi's brain, he's like, no, I was there for, like, a long time. Like, and that's what the Tsukuyomi can do. And then the Susano is basically you turn into a giant Gundam. I wish I was joking. You just go into this massive suit of armor, basically, and you can, like, control this.
You have a giant titan. Sword?
Yes.
Yeah, so Susano is my favorite boss fight in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah. Well, here's what they're inspired by. They're inspired by 3 gods. So Izanagi was a goddess, I believe, who, after purifying herself in a river, gave birth to 3 other gods: Amaterasu, Susano, and Tsukuyomi. Amaterasu is the sun goddess, which is also conveniently the fire power. Tsukuyomi is the goddess. Or the god, of the moon and, nighttime dreams associated with illusions, just like the power in Naruto, being trapped in a dream, basically. And the Susano is the god of the sea and storms, which, again, I get it's like, you're just a big, strong guy. It's the metaphor for a big, strong guy.
That's how he is in Final Fantasy, too. I mean, we talked about it before, Final Fantasy summons are all relative to real mythologies.
Yeah, and it's the exact same thing as this.
Yeah,
honestly.
Susano is hilarious, and I love him.
Yeah. Well, the Susano in this is epic, and I love it. Like,
all 3 of those characters are in Final Fantasy summons, but they're really, like, in obscure side games. Oh. They're not, like, mainline ones.
That's really interesting. I'm glad. I kind of like that they put that in, though. But yeah, anyway, so those are, like, the all-powerful moves of the Uchiha clan. And again, that all comes from that feudal Japan era, which is, again, kind of neat. So you have these gods named after powers. You have these legendary Sani ninja that are actually, like, legendary folklore ninja. There's King Enma, which is basically like the Monkey King. He's literally a monkey character that helps out one of the other characters and helps fight. And he has basically he transforms into basically the Power Pole, like just like Journey to the West or with the Monkey King or Goku, if you want to make that metaphor, same thing. There's another move that literally brings up a Shinigami, which is a Reaper. Like there's a move called the Reaper Death Seal, where if you sacrifice yourself, you can basically like kill somebody with you, and it literally just summons a Shinigami. And it like drags them both, and it cuts them off that way, which is kind of neat. And then there's the 9 beasts, the 9-tailed beasts, which we were kind of talking about earlier. We talked about the first one, Shikaku, which is the 1-tailed sand tanuki. And there's other ones ranging. There's like a 2-tailed, like a rabbit or something. There's like a 3-tailed monkey, which is Son Goku, by the way. The name of that 3-tailed monkey is Son Goku. there's like I don't remember what all the tails are. One of them's fucking fish thing. And then all the way up to 9. The 9th one is the nine-tailed fox, which is what is in Naruto. Inside Naruto is the nine-tailed fox, which is also known as Kurama, which I'm sure you've probably heard that name before. Because like it's also like a Kurama version is actually in Zelda as well. The Keaton masks that you wear are the little yellow guys. They have 9 tails as well. In Japanese folklore, the foxes were tricksters and such. So and that's not necessarily an exception in Naruto or Zelda, for that matter. And so in Pokemon even. With nine tails.
The nine-tailed fox in Pokemon says in its description, a legendary Pokemon in China. So you know.
So Naruto has the nine-tailed fox spirit, which is objectively the most powerful of the spirits because it has the 9 tails. But it does again, it comes from that folklore where like this fox spirit, every 100 years it grows a new tail until it reaches 9 tails, where it is at its ultimate power. And but unlike in Naruto, the nine-tailed fox is basically a kaiju. He's the size of a kaiju, and he ravages, and he has ultimate power and stuff. And he has to be sealed away inside Naruto using the correct hand signs. That's right. I'm segueing into hand signs. I'm sure you've all seen the nerds. I know some hand signs, the Naruto ones. I know fire style, fireball jutsu, baby.
You can't stop my shadow jutsu.
Shadow clone jutsu. That one's a pretty easy one too. Yeah, that one's a pretty easy one. But like, there's a lot of great ones. But hand signs were actually a thing. They're not the same hand signs, however. The hand signs in Naruto are based off of the zodiac, the animals of the zodiac. So they're different than the actual hand signs, which there are 9 of them originally, and I don't remember what they're actually based on, if they were like animals or what, but they were different. But the idea was very similar on the of that, like they were used to chant. They were mantras. They were, some people more spiritual would be like, oh, they're used for spells, so ninjutsu, that kind of stuff, and such. And we kind of touched on it a little bit as we went through this. The 3 main powers of Naruto: taijutsu, genjutsu, and ninjutsu. Taijutsu, think of like martial arts. It's just fighting. That's what taijutsu is. Ninjutsu is the spell. So the fireballs, the special techniques that do a lot of damage, the kamehamehas, that's all ninjutsu. And then genjutsu is mind trick. So David Blaine, for example, or Chris Angel Mind Freak, or any of those guys, they're technically Mind Freak. They're technically genjutsu masters because they trick your brain into thinking they're seeing something that it's not seeing. That's what genjutsu is. And that's what that one move, like I mentioned before, the Tsukuyomi, is. It's an ultimate genjutsu technique. And all 3 of those, Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, and Susano, are all supposed to represent all 3 of those. Where like Amaterasu is a ninjutsu technique that is fire, it's an attack, it's burning. Tsukuyomi is a genjutsu because it puts you in a horrifying dream, and then a Susano is taijutsu because you're a giant Gundam and you can fuck shit up and punch things better in a giant Gundam, basically. So that's the idea. And so that's kind of like to break it down a little bit further. So those are like the 3 techniques. And like I mentioned before, that one character, Rockley, cannot use ninjutsu spells or genjutsu tricks. He can only fight. That makes his character very interesting, and seeing his progression. Although I admit he gets a little less fun in Shippuden. I feel like they kind of didn't give him as much, but he was such a phenomenal character in the first one. He kind of gets his own arc, I guess.
It really is like a big samurai suit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. It looks cool. But yeah, so that's like, but those things actually did come from, like, ninjutsu isn't just made up from Naruto. Like, like they said that the ninja of old used ninjutsu, which were like magic techniques, but really, they were things that people said they were. They were ways to get, like, they were just tricks to get out, and they weren't necessarily as fancy as smoke bombs. They were like, no, they like fucking used audio cues and like clicks and like noises like that kind of stuff was seen as ninjutsu back then. But yeah. Anyway, what else we got? We got a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, the hand seals, the kuji or the hand seals. It all has to do with like Shintoism, Taoism, Japanese folk magic, different signs. What else? What other? I might go through my notes again. See what other fun shit we have. Oh yeah, I mean they were called shinobi, by the way, and that's what they're called in Naruto as well. They're often referred to as shinobi, not ninja, and that's what they were referred to then. Let's go to this wonderful big old list of shit that I found on Reddit. That's always fun to look at. Anyway, there was basically everything from this thing comes from feudal Japan at this point. So it kind of was ridiculous. Also, here's another connection to Phasmophobia, our Phasmophobia lore lords. Raiju is a thing in this. The Raiju is a thunder beast that is said to sometimes sleep in people's navels, which is also where all the characters are sealed in the in Naruto. All the Ninetale beasts are sealed.
I don't know about that. That seems kind of fetishy.
Maybe a little bit. I'm reading from the actual thing, and I maybe should have said just belly button, or tummy, or core, I suppose. But the Raiju is also like the Thunder Cat in Naruto, so which is basically what it is in Japanese lore. If you remember, we talked about it.
Yeah,
in Phasmophobia. Was that
they're the pets of Raijin.
Yeah, pets of Raijin, the Thundercat. So it was the same thing again from there.
Why, you know?
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of other really fun ones that I'm trying to read some really good ones. Oh right, the
Goemon, the mystical ninja.
The yokais, I forgot. Orochimaru's steals people's faces and stuff like that, which is considered a technique of ninja, but also one of them is of a famous yokai, which is kind of neat. That's what is it? Sasuke's name comes from a famous fictional ninja. So Sasuke apparently does come from an actual ninja. That's kind of neat.
Is there no character named Goemon in the show? That's kind of surprising, actually.
I don't think so. It doesn't come up. I mean, maybe it's a side character or something in passing, but I don't remember it.
Goemon is Japanese Robin Hood.
Oh, really?
Except he was a real person. It was a real person that stole from the rich, gave to the poor, tried to assassinate Hideyoshi at the end of the Sengoku period, failed, and with his son got boiled alive in a kettle in front of a crowd.
I mean, that's what you get for stealing from the rich.
Yeah.
There's a Naruto villain named Zabuza Momochi, and Momochi is actually another famous ninja. Momochi Sandayu was a actual famous ninja, and so there you go. There's another one. So again, they do have the famous ninjas in there. Kaguya. All right. Kaguya comes from the Japanese folktale, the tale of Princess Kaguya, also known as the tale of the bamboo cutter. That's another one. Son Goku, Dragon Ball heavily influenced by Journey to the West. Oh, Son Goku is the 4 tails. I'm sorry, I said they were the 3 tails earlier.
Wow. Wow. Okay, fake fan. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Well, I remember Naruto is one of those shows that has so much to it that I could keep going on the things that it tie in. But what I really just like about it is the fact that it just seems like the writer was so inspired by the original. I just gotta hold on. Who was the original writer of? I gotta find that Naruto because it's really bothering me. Because once I read it out loud again, I'm gonna get mad. Masashi Kishimoto. Right. God damn it, Masashi Kishimoto.
God, you're so mad at yourself right now. I can feel it.
I know.
I can taste your anger.
Because it's Kishimoto that I remember. I'm like, no, it's Kishimoto. You fucking idiot. Anyway,
gosh,
he's 47. He's a pretty young guy still.
When was Naruto made?
90s.
Okay.
So it was, and then he again, like I mentioned earlier, the orange and blue was inspired by Dragon Ball. Like he was a fan of Dragon Ball, while he was writing Naruto, but he wanted to make sure it was so different, Also, there is a fun fact about the color palette of the 3 main characters in Naruto. Sakura being pink and red, Sasuke being black, blue and white, and Naruto being orange and blue and yellow, that really like contrasts and is a really a good color spectrum, according to apparently some color experts. Anyway, but I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can really go over, because I did most of my studying was on the original Naruto, not so much Shippuden, because Shippuden goes into a fucking crazy more amount. Like I actually tipped in it a little bit when I talked about Amaterasu, Susano, and Tsukuyomi, because that's kind of more, that happens more in later on. But I thought that was just too interesting not to talk about. But like in terms of Naruto Shippuden stuff, it goes so much longer, it goes so much deeper. And I didn't genuinely have the time to go into the research, because I also didn't want to fucking watch Shippuden again. Whereas you can get sum ups of Naruto again. Like you can like watch videos, read stuff, and be like, right, that's what happened that arc. That's what happened that arc. But with Shippuden, it's like there's so fucking much that it's like you kind of have to go in and watch it again. It
was similar for me in like the last episode we did with the Flap of 66, because I was like I was Mothman. I was like on the edge, like how much do I go into this?
Yeah,
there's so much.
I could do Shippuden like again and again. That's when the heroes make a lot more sense. Again, the characters you're following, Naruto is like a character you like to watch now. You know what I mean? Like Sasuke and Sakura, they're characters you like to watch now. Whereas like in the first show, they weren't. You know, and like they were kind of, again, they were undesirable 12-year-old pricks. And again, on that personal level too, like I always again related to Naruto, because he trained his ass off to become good. I always joked and said to friends and stuff that I always hated prodigies, because like prodigies, you know, they're just they're naturally good at stuff, and that sucks. And I've never been naturally good at anything in my entire life.
I want to be chosen.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're the chosen one. It's like I've never been the chosen one. It's like that would have been nice. Like, although, you know, there's no such real thing as that. There's very few. You kind of, you know, it's a very silly way to look at life. But as you just work hard, as basically you become chosen, I suppose, in a sense, after you work your ass off
or pray hard enough. Wait.
Yeah, if you're a good enough Christian, you'll become obviously
chosen. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, any hooser. But no, I really liked Naruto's whole thing, like going from that. There's a particularly great battle between him and a character named Neji Hyuga, who is considered a prodigy. Literally, like his whole character's arc is based off the idea that he's the greatest and he can't lose. And then he loses to Naruto, and like in spectacular fashion. So it's basically like. And it's the first big win anyone has seen Naruto deliver, because every other win Naruto's had up to that point has basically been small and in private and in training and in like, you know, other situations. So there hasn't been like a full display of, nah, dude, he just beat him. Fuck you. And he did. And so like that was like the first time. And then literally later that day, Naruto saves the fucking world. Or saves the Hidden Leaf Village, I should say, from a secret evil attack. But it's just these things and these moments that I really love as the character, and again, he basically just becomes Goku for the rest of the show, where like he shows up last minute, helps save the day. You know, he's either the reason the day is saved or a big reason the day is saved. And in Shippuden, that's a huge deal. In particular, there's after the character that killed Cigarette Daddy Asuma Sensei, Naruto helps swoop in and helps defeat one of the bad guys, while the other good guy Shikamatu can get his revenge. It's pretty good. Also, I want to point out, so the guy who kills Asuma Sensei, Big Daddy Sensei Cigarette Daddy, he uses a technique that's basically like, it's like old tribal possession. He makes like a kind of a pentagram-esque thing in the ground. He hurts himself and bleeds all over it. And then if his enemy happens to step in a second pentagram-esque thing on the ground, they're basically his. And anything he does to his body will actually be done to that body instead. And so that's how Asuma Sensei dies. He gets like, and this guy who kills him, he feels the pain, but he likes it, and he doesn't die. So when he's basically this character's whole character, his name is Hidan. When Hidan's whole power is that like, because he can't die, because he's immortal, because he cannot die. He has now learned to enjoy pain as if it's an orgasm or something. Like, so anytime he feels the pain of death, it's like the most cummies of cummies, baby. Like, he gets off on it, like, genuinely.
That's
so it's
really
like
hot.
it's a really fucked up scene where you see like this character everyone loves, and this dude is like licking his lips. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm so fucking excited to do this right now." And Asuma's just like, he's like on his hands and knees, bleeding out, like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking die." Meanwhile, his favorite student Shikamaru is helpless, begging, "Please don't, please don't." Like, "God, I can't help you." He's trying desperately to help him, and he can't help him. His other students are totally pinned down, and he can't help. Like, and then he just gets like, and then Hidan basically, I think he shoves like a sword or a spear or a tusk or some shit through his own like chest and just kills him. And he gets laid out. And Shikamaru comes up with a plan though after this happens, because Shikamaru is a genius. He's the lazy genius. He comes up with a plan for revenge. What he does is he cuts up Hidan, throws him in a 30-foot pit, and blows up the pit so he gets buried underneath. He's like, "All right, if you're going to be immortal, you're going to be immortal in pieces 30 feet underground in the middle of the forest, like, where no one knows where you are." And that's what he does, and he just blows him up in there. And it's like such a sweet moment, and oh god. Man, there's a couple moments, and like those are the things that happen in Naruto where you go like, as a fan, you're like, this is so fucking worth watching. Like, the end fight between Naruto and Sasuke in the original Naruto is fucking amazing. It's so good. I remember watching it with Dalke, because Dalke and I watched the original Naruto together, and like when we were watching the that last fight, there were so many moments where Dalke just would go like, "Oh Jesus," like, like when like, because up until that point you never saw a fight up to that extent, because these are basically two superhumans fighting, because Sasuke and Naruto fight at the very end. Sasuke has been bitten by Orochimaru and has been given a curse mark, which gives him unimaginable dark powers. Naruto has the nine-tailed fox inside of him, so you can imagine that works out pretty well for him, so he gets pretty powerful using that. And basically, their powers get unleashed in a big fucking cosmic, gigantic explosion of a battle, to a point where there's this one shot that oftentimes gets used in GIFs of Naruto jumping into the air, grabbing Sasuke by the ankles, spinning like 900, like doing like 900-degree spins, and then slamming him into the cliffside. And if you did that to any other character in that show, they would turn into guts and goo. Like, but just because they have these special powers, like they're blessed. Like, that's what I like about Naruto, is like they don't fuck around. If you get a knife thrown at you, it's gonna get stuck in you. Like, you don't get magic powers that block these things. No, that doesn't happen unless you have to be good. Like, or you're Naruto, like, or you're special and have the nine-tailed fox inside of you, or you're Sasuke and have the curse mark and Uchiha clan shit or whatever. But like, otherwise, you're just a person. You're just a guy, and you have to learn powers just like everybody else. If you twist your ankle just like anybody else. But it was really satisfying to like see that fight for the first time and actually watch like the full extent of these characters use their powers and be like, oh no, they're slamming each other into cliff sides and like literally lighting each other on fire to the utmost extent. It's pretty great. It's just like, if there's anything to watch in Naruto, it's some of those fight scenes, because they're pretty fucking spectacular. Gara versus Rockley, the one where Rockley inevitably loses because he again like gets paralyzed or whatever, gets his arms and legs basically torn to shreds. It's an amazing fight to watch, because you're basically watching a character who's never lost a fight in his life get put on the back run. Like, Gara's about to lose. Mr. Sand evil guy is about to lose. Rockley's actually about to win, but you don't understand the extent, as an audience, you don't understand the extent of Gara's power until you're like, oh, there's nothing he could have done. But they're spectacular things to watch, and these character developments are fantastic as well. And it really kind of inspired me growing up to see this character that's genuinely not fun to look at in the first like 20 to 30 episodes. Like, it takes up to like episode 10 before you have Naruto's first moment where you kind of like feel a little inspired by him. They get attacked on their very first mission. They get attacked on the road by some rogue ninja. And Naruto panics and falls down like a little baby girl, and he pees his pants. He's like, oh, pee-pee babe, so scared, yeah. And Sasuke mocks him. Kakashi comes over and saves the day because he's Kakashi Sensei and he's the coolest fucking character in the show. Fuck yeah, Kakashi.
Wow.
But
go him.
I love Kakashi. He's so great. He's also has like one of my favorite stories in that show too. It's very sad. He like loses a lot of the people he loves at a very young age, but then like continues on, and he's a great leader, and
Is he the one? Is he the edgy one with the white hair, with the one eye? Okay.
He's not really edgy though. He's actually very like he is a little bit of a recluse, but he's not edgy. He's very sweet actually. He's very kind to people. He doesn't want to be, and he likes romantic novels and and stuff like that. He's always reading poems.
He's the one the edgy people on the internet like to use as their photo.
Yeah, but they think they're him, but they're not. They're more like Sasuke, where they're like, I have a stupid goal. Where Kakashi's like, I just want to protect my loved ones. I just really love my friends. Like, Kakashi's great. I love him, but it's smut. It's porn. It's porn. It's a little bit porny. He's a little horny. He's a horny guy. He lost his girlfriend at a young age. Very sad. But I love Kakashi. He's fantastic. But again, like, he's the character to kind of pay attention to if you'd ever go in. I know that's not one that you'd ever go in, but I just love it so much because I think that I was always really inspired by the loudmouth kid who got in trouble a lot as a kid, turning into a actual like phenomenal hero. I mean, somebody people admired.
No, knowing what. So I literally came into this literally not even knowing his name was Naruto. So yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about the show, but describing what you've said, I definitely feel like as a kid I would have liked it.
Yeah. No, here's now the segment I'm saving for the end, because now that I think I'm done with the good stuff, I wanted to save. Oh, we talked about Jiraiya. Don't worry about it. I wanted to save my gripes, because I do have gripes with the show. I talked about this being one of the most controversial anime. I do think, at its core, the story of Naruto from beginning to end, all the way through the end of Shippuden, is one of the best anime stories. However, it was written occasionally at times where they were going, oh shit, we need to put this prequel in. We need to put this lore in. Oh, we need to put this thing in order to make this make sense. Every now and again, it feels like they did that. However, there was an overarching plan basically the whole time. So the writer. The main writer, again, I forget his name already, Kishimoto, god damn it. Kishimoto, like, he did have intentions going in on, like, where it would go, but he came up with a lot of subplot along the way, which is a lot obvious. And on the creation of the anime, big gripe, they weren't patient enough just to fucking wait, because money, of course, so they wrote an assload of filler episodes. I'd say probably a third, a quarter, if not a third of Naruto, the show, is filler. And that sucks. There are actually 300 episodes, quote unquote, of Naruto, the original. There's not. There's 90. There's or 120, something like that. I don't fucking know. It's something short like that though. It's not short, but shorter. It's not crazy. But they're like, oh no, it's fucking 400 episodes. It's like these are all the adventures that all the characters go on after the main plot's over. Like, if you want to know all the things that they went through to train and get up to that point in Shippuden, I guess you could watch it, but it's all irrelevant. It doesn't move the plot forward. So, and then in Shippuden, it's like, if you're watching the show, it's literally for a while every other arc. So it's like you watch the first arc in Shippuden is the Kazekage rescue mission, where Naruto and friends have to go rescue a neighboring country's leader from the grips of the Akatsuki. It's a great arc, super great. It establishes everything you're going to need to know moving forward, which is awesome. Great writing, phenomenal writing. You're like, all right, this is the goal of the bad guys. This is the goal of this bad guy. Now go. Great, love that shit. Great as a watcher or a reader. And then after that, they're like, now it's a totally irrelevant mission for 15 to 20 episodes. And you're like, fuck. And then it picks up again when they're like, oh, we found out where Sasuke's going to be. We got to go find Sasuke. Let's go find Sasuke. Oh, cool. Orochimaru's there. They got to fight Orochimaru. That's fucking crazy. What? They found Sasuke. That's crazy. They found him. Oh my God. Whoa. And then they went back to the Hidden Leaf Village and they went on a completely irrelevant adventure again. Wow. And then they'd go on another really cool adventure. And they did that so much. And I fucking couldn't. And then, I started watching Naruto as a freshman in high school when I was 15. I finished watching Naruto last year.
Oh.
Because they finally, have all of Shippuden dubbed over and finished, like whether it's English dub or like they had the Japanese dub done for a long time, and I could have caught up with that one, but I actually watched a lot of the Japanese dub a lot, like for the most part, but then I was like, I just want to watch the English one from now on, but it took so long to come out. I finally finished it like a year ago.
Yeah, that was me and Gundam too. It was the same way. Yeah, they made the sequel show to Gundam didn't have an English cast forever, and when they did, it wasn't the same actors.
Yeah, thankfully they kept most of the same actors. Like they almost got all the same actors from all the original dubs and stuff. But you know, I mean, it was dubbed over the span of almost like 15, 20 fucking years. Like I remember watching. There's a certain arc called the Pain arc. There's a character who just calls himself Pain, and this is actually again there's a. What is he called? There's like the 9 paths of pain or something, or the 7 paths.
Pain's a character in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, no, they might even be from the same thing because it's actually in again feudal Japanese folklore. There's like again, I didn't do too much research on this one because I didn't go into Shippuden too much. But there's he has like the 7 paths of pain or something like that. I don't know if somebody else can attest to what I'm talking about, but that's something that existed back then. He basically can from afar use other people's powers so long as he killed them first. Like if they're a dead body, he can possess their dead bodies basically, and up to like I think 7 of them, and he can use all of their powers at his disposal. So he gets like 7 of the most powerful ninja he ever knew, and then uses all of their basically dead reanimated corpses to do whatever he wants them to. And he uses them to 100% completely destroy the Hidden Leaf village. Like he basically drops an atomic bomb on it, and at one point in this fight, Hinata, Naruto's love interest, like jumps into the fight to try to save Naruto after he swoops in, and she gets pinned down. Naruto and I remember this is what I was watching at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, even though I took a Tylenol PM like 2 hours ago, and I was like super over emotional. I was like crying because like Naruto was just like watches helplessly as Pain is just kind of like taunting him, and he's just kind of like, he's like, no, you need to understand what real pain is. And he basically just like plunges this like lead pipe through Hinata's chest and just like fucking just basically just kills her right in front of Naruto, and he just loses his shit. And it's just like one of those things where everybody like dies in front of him. Like, but there's like a special technique, very much Dragon Ball-y, dragon making a wish on the Dragon Balls, bring them all back to life. So there's one of those techniques that happens. But like, you know, basically this character Pain kills all of Naruto's friends and family like in front of him. Not all of them, but most of them. And like, or not family. He has no family already. They're already dead. All of his friends. Like, so yeah, it's a really like fucking brutal arc, and it's just fantastic. But Naruto still ends up pulling out the win at the very end, because he shouldn't have stabbed his girlfriend. Shouldn't have done that. Very bad idea that he stabbed his girlfriend. Very stupid. Yep, Kakashi meets his dad in that arc. That's right. Kakashi dies in that arc as well. He basically takes a pellet to the head as fast as a bullet, so he just gets shot in the head basically. And it's like really fun. As a fan of Kakashi, I remember being like, I'm not watching this anime anymore. Like I was like, fuck this, so mad.
Wait, I was like, the edgy character got shot in the head?
Oh, basically, yeah. I want like he comes back because again, there's the magic Dragon Ball Make a Wish. Everybody comes back to life, but at one point, like. He just takes a fucking like a pellet to the head, and it like at bullet speed just think, and he just like, and then like you just see his body propped up and his head tilted back for like, and it just cuts to that occasionally. Like, remember Kakashi got shot in the head, and you're like, thanks for that. Like, yeah, I know he's dead. I know Kakashi's dead. Thank you. But then he comes like, after Naruto beats Pain, he finds Pain's normal body, which is a really decrepit kind of gross looking thing, and is like. But instead of killing him, he like confronts him and wants to know why he did all this. And Pain explains it to him, and Pain's like, I'm right, you're wrong, pain is all that exists. And Naruto's like, nah, you're wrong, and I beat you, so what do you think? Like, and Pain basically like after some, I forget exactly what he says, but like Naruto says some inspiring shit, and it inspires Pain to change his ways entirely. And there was one special technique that was being saved to keep Pain alive forever that he then uses to bring everybody he killed back. So then Kakashi comes back, Hinata comes back, all these characters come back. So so don't worry, all our friends, but it's probably one of the greatest battles in Naruto. Like if you're gonna like, again, I highly recommend just watching some of the fights.
I Google searched the character, and I've seen a lot of that character, the orange-haired Naruto. Yeah,
with like he has
the cloud cloak.
Yep. Yeah, he has one of the best fights when he blows up the Hidden Leaf Village, and when Naruto beats him, and then how he brings everybody back. That whole arc is fucking amazing. And Naruto basically is like, help us to help everybody. Like, he watches them all die before he can win. So Naruto is blonde.
Naruto's blonde.
Wrong.
Yeah,
wrong.
He's blonde.
He's blonde. Wrong.
I said Pain has orange hair.
Yeah, Pain has orange hair. Yeah,
like orange.
But it looks like Naruto's. And he's kind of supposed to, by the way. He's like he's supposed to be like the opposite of Naruto, kind of like. Naruto's so set on his ways of being a good person, working hard and achieving, one's goals and one's friends' goals, whereas Pain's like, there is nothing but pain. So.
That's a very Final Fantasy villain style character.
Yeah. And then Naruto convinces him at the end that he's wrong, and Pain agrees that he's wrong. So Pain's like, I'm going to be a good boy. And then in his final act, he saves everybody.
There's a gif of him killing Kakashi if you Google search it.
Yeah, I know the GIF. I know.
I just Google searched his name. I Google searched Pain Naruto, and it's like the third thing that comes up.
Yeah, because it's everybody's least favorite. It's part of that arc is when Kakashi gets shot in the fucking head. Ping. Oh god.
I feel like if I was a kid again, I would have probably loved the shit out of the show.
Yeah. Again, that's what's funny is that like as a kid, I already knew though that there were so many problems with it because of those fillers. And that's why it took me so long to watch it, because I knew, I was like, wait a minute, because the reason I rewatched it a couple of years ago, because I told myself, was because I knew there were so many special moments that I loved, and that brought me to tears, or made me feel jacked up, or made me get the same feelings that Dragon Ball did, or Zelda did, and right. I was like, so why don't I want to watch it? So then I sat down and I watched it again. I was like, no, I was right. It's phenomenal. It really is very good. But there's a couple of blips on the radar that really kind of that take it away from that, where I would almost recommend it to be people's first anime if, again, the first main three characters weren't so fucking annoying. Again, Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto, this is my last gripe, really, the biggest one. I talked about it even at the beginning. They're annoying. They're not fun characters. Again, it's kind of genius meta writing that they write 12-year-olds with shitty goals and everything like that, but they're not fun to look at. Again, if you watch the first season through Kakashi's eyes, you might actually have a good time, because you're basically seeing this guy who watched, all of his friends and family die in the last great ninja war. Now he has to train a bunch of fucking bratty kids, and you're how he's that's more interesting. But then, it gets kind of good. Then Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke find their legs. Sakura takes the longest for, because I don't think Kishimoto knew how to write women very well, personally. But
it's the same with Toriyama.
Yeah, same with Toriyama.
Just not. He literally said he didn't want to make a female Super Saiyan because he didn't want to make a woman character, because he doesn't know how to write women.
Yeah, I mean, he admitted it. I thought he did a pretty good job with Bulma, because at least she's the smartest person on the planet.
Yeah. She's
literally, she's Tony Stark in Dragon Ball World. So thank God she got her. But even Chi-Chi feels a little too tropey sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
I love Chi-Chi, but it's oh, she's the stay-at-home cook wife mom. Yeah, but it's because she wants to. She wants to provide for her family. Yeah, okay. She used to be a martial artist that was pretty fucking good. In Dragon Ball, Chi-Chi was a martial artist. Damn it. Anyway. But, so yeah, again, I think that if you actually look at Naruto from a broad perspective, it's genius watching these genuinely annoying, god-awful characters go from, terrible to, oh, they're the heroes. They're the next generation rising up, basically, is the whole idea. And that's nice, and it's good, and and that's wonderful, and that's generally the whole lesson is the broadest lesson in the whole thing is that everything that's happening, all the most evil shit that's going on underneath the surface in this world is all due to an ancient evil that's basically just been existing underneath the surface for God knows how long, and they finally confront it for the final time and defeat it. It's but it's all just one big metaphor for killing each other and cynicism. Naruto's entire thing is look, we don't have to fight. Basically, like we don't have to kill each other. Like we can fight just for fun, kind of like Goku, you know, like in that same sense as like fighting doesn't have to be for for winning and that whole thing. And it's a big old brand of peace. It's all just trying to preach peace, which is good. Not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, it's like Gundam when they say the word peace every 5 minutes. So how did you first get exposed to this? Like what show? When you said you were 15?
I was around 15, and I remember. So I watched Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, like many did.
Yes, me too.
And so I loved it. But I remember I went through a dark arc for Pat when I was in 6th grade. I still had Legos all over my room and posters of things like Zelda and Dragon Ball and some of my childhood posters. I had like a cute poster of froggies on my wall that I loved a lot. I love frogs. I don't know if you guys know this. I like little frogs. I think frogs are cute. Anyway, I like Kiropi, you know. Anyway, but like, and one day, like my mom and I like cleaned my room because I was going to have some friends over. So we cleaned my room real good. I put all my Dragon Ball action figures in a really cool way on my shelf, and my Legos were in cool positions where they look cool or whatever. And the TV was all set up and ready to play video games and stuff. And then when my friends came over, they all just made fun of me for having Legos and Dragon Ball and anime cartoons everywhere. And one of the kids who actually used to watch Dragon Ball with me in like 4th grade and stuff went up to like my Goku, Goten, Trunks, Gohan, and Vegeta and adult Trunks action figures and like knocked them all over, basically flicking them, going die, 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 die. And like,
wow.
Yeah, and I got really self-conscious. So that night I put all my Legos in storage, and I took my dad's Sports Illustrated swimsuit magazine and I cut out pictures of hot babes and I put them all over my wall. I'm not even fucking kidding. And I got so, and for basically for years I got really self-conscious until high school when I stopped. Yeah, and then in high school I stopped giving a shit and I came back out of my shell.
That's
yeah, I didn't talk about this with my therapist yet, but I'm over this part, by the way. I'm totally over there. It's like I don't give a shit, but it's just like really like, yeah, it was bad, man. Like, and some of these people were my friends when I was younger too. Like, but anyway, so I got home.
I'm sorry, that's such a fucking like 90s 20th century Fox like movie like kid like getting upset and like losing inner child moment. That's not even real.
It was no, it was.
That doesn't sound. That sounds like way too like. I get it. Like I 100% see it happening.
Yeah,
but it's like something you would see in a movie.
Yeah, it was one of those reasons. Ironically, I picked up the guitar too because I was like, guitar's cool, and then I was like, oh, guitar is cool, and I like this. But like I genuinely felt as though like I what I liked and stuff wasn't cool anymore. So I felt like I couldn't. I never talked about for about 3 or 4 years straight. I didn't mention to anybody that I played video games. Except for like immediate friends who came over. I wouldn't talk about anime. I never talked about anime basically up until I got to college. I basically completely stopped. And I had friends who loved anime and would like come up to me and want to talk about it. And I'd talk about it with them in private, like at our houses and stuff. But like at school, when somebody would be like, "Dude, you want to like watch Dragon Ball later?" I'd be like, "Dragon Ball's fucking good." No, like, you know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
Like I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. But I would quietly decline. You know?
Right.
And kind of like yeah. Because one time I remember I was idly drawing anime in class. I like literally drew like Goku, and my social studies teacher came up to me and was like, "Oh, cool anime drawing," and I like covered it up and went, "No, it's not anime. I don't." I got like super embarrassed.
No,
and, like,
no, it's NFL. Yeah. It's NFL. Go Packers.
Go Patriots. No, yeah. So I very much I got really self-conscious about it. I still get I have some friends even today who every now and again just don't want to hear about it, and I get really self-conscious when I still have a little bit of that when people don't want to talk about it. I get a little like, oh, like.
And you have people like me who don't like Naruto and then sit with you for an hour and a half and talk about Naruto because I'm here for you, Pat.
Thank you. I was nervous to do this one because I genuinely like. Because I'm not like I'm mostly not sensitive about this stuff, but when it comes to like childhood anime and like stuff like that, I am. Like, I'm just like, please don't make fun of something I love. Like, I know you can. Please don't. Like, so I can too, though, and I do. But like, and so it came about. Like, I remember tuning into Toonami my freshman year, and I tuned in on the Chunin Exams arc, which is basically like 30 episodes in to the original Naruto. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke get unleashed into this massive, gigantic forest, and it's called the Forest of Death, and it is basically just covered in like not evil, but like giant monsters and giant bugs, and it's very dangerous, and you could easily die, but you have to make your way. You have to beat another team, collect a match or an opposing scroll. You either have a heaven scroll or an earth scroll, and you have to have both to proceed on. And once you collect both, you can move on to the middle, and then there will start a secondary tournament. And in this exam is when I tuned in, and it was the right exam. It was the right place to tune in, because it was during the arc when Orochimaru, one of the main villains, first shows up, and he bites Sasuke on the neck. And it was such a cool episode to watch Naruto swing in and save Sasuke for the very first time. Because at that point, I didn't know Naruto was a chump. I didn't see any of the first early episodes, and I was like, oh, this is okay, I guess. So then I kind of started watching it, and then it wasn't until college again where I actually picked it up and watched it like from beginning to end, and I was like, oh, right. I like really enjoy this.
So like, how old are you?
I was 15 when I first
How old
saw
are you
it.
now?
I'm 30.
You're 30. Okay, so you're only a year older than me. So because I watched Dragon Ball as a kid. And then I never even knew Naruto was on Toonami, so I guess I wasn't watching at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I just never watched anime after, like, Dragon Ball and Gundam. I watched Dragon Ball. I only got into Gundam because Gundam Wing came on after Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
So that was the only reason I watched it. And then I would watch some Adult Swim things like Cowboy Bebop, but that was it.
Right. I have a very similar experience, honestly, and I think a lot of kids probably in our generation do, is that the reason why Dragon Ball Z was our favorite anime was because that was one of the only ones exposed to us. Really,
and it came on at 2:30.
And it came on
when school was out. School would usually end around 2 or 3, whatever time it was, and everyone got home and it was on TV.
And then
like
boom,
doing homework to Dragon Ball Z on TV was like my Monday through Friday. You know what I mean? Like
mine was doing my homework first, because we usually didn't see Dragon Ball Z episodes premiere until 6 on the East Coast. So I remember like I would finish my dinner and my homework, and then I'd go into the living room and watch Dragon Ball Z at 6. And I remember sitting down and watching like the Majin Buu arc and like
it which is crazy to me too. Kind of like how you mentioned how you first saw Naruto and what we just said. I started watching Gundam Wing, which had come on after Dragon Ball, after I'd already been watching Dragon Ball. I'd be like, I don't like this dumb robot show, and turned out. But then one day I just happened to leave it on. I was like, oh, this is sick as hell. And then I got into it. But I now know it was like over halfway through the show. And I didn't get to see the first half for years later. Nowadays, I could never do that. Oh, no. I could never watch a show partway through. Like,
jump in halfway.
Yeah, that sounds infuriating to me.
But that's exactly what I did with Naruto. I literally just picked up in the right when not even at the beginning of the tuning exams, like in the middle of the second test. By the way, you would love the first test. The first test is literally just a paper exam, but the ninja have to gather the information on how to solve the exam using their abilities. They have to literally cheat, like, in order to win, because the questions are unsolvable except for like 3.
Yeah, you actually told me this before, because we were talking about something similar.
And it's a great, like, I think it's like an episode or 2, and it's such a good episode. But anyway, but that's like the first one. But like, and to be honest with you, I remember watching it a little bit my freshman year. I watched a few episodes, but I had a friend. This friend turned out to be like a Batman villain to me, and I've mentioned him a few times. He when I had mentioned, I was like, because I talked to my friend John, who liked Naruto too. He actually was very sweet, John. I kind of begged him for it, but he gave me a really cool Naruto poster in high school once, and I was like, cool, and I hung it up. But when John and I would talk about it, he'd just come up to us and go, believe it, you fucking nerds, kind of thing. Man, I did not associate with good people when I was young.
You lived this really television high school life. Like, you really did.
Oh man.
At my high school, let me tell you, there was like no bullies. There was like no one got pushed into lockers. Yeah. No one got like made to. It was just so chill. I always thought that's just that these TV things were like not real, and now as an adult, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, all this stuff happened," and I was like, "Okay, wow."
I got bullied hard. My bullying mostly took place in elementary school, and a little bit in middle school, because that's when I was because when I was in middle school, remember, if we're talking about Pat's lore here, we're not on Pat lore here. It was around 6th grade where those kids made fun of me in my room, and I changed everything. So in middle school, I was edgy because I was like, I couldn't embrace what I loved. I wasn't embracing what I loved. I was just kind of in denial. I did theater because it was something to do, not because I liked it at that time. And I was going in a bad way. But I didn't get into any fights because I was taking martial arts at the time, and that was I think that if it wasn't for my martial arts classes, I probably would have been a bad kid.
Dude, so similar. Like, I have such a similar story. I played World of Warcraft.
Okay.
That was it. That was the bit.
There was so much. I actually thought you cut out for a second.
Nope. That was really funny to me to watch my audio levels just go to nothing on everything.
Same. I was like, looked at my audio die, and I was like, oh, is it over?
I had such a boring school life. I don't have like a lot of stories. It's just like, it was so like, I just went home and played World of Warcraft.
I've lived a full life where I remember thinking, like, if I die, I'd get it. I'd be like, all right, I can accept it. I've done more things by the time I'm now in I'm 30 than most people do, and I'm like that's not a brag, by the way. I'm very hard to relate to. Like, I am I'm a weird guy. Like, I have a very strange upbringing. I have, it's not unique. There's other people who had it similar to me. I never wanted to be popular until I realized popularity was a thing. That was basically because Thailand didn't focus on shit like that. They just focused on individualism, at least at the school I went to at the time. And then I got to school in the United States, and everything was like in the 90s, which meant it was coming out of the 80s, which meant bullying was way cool. Thankfully, we didn't get gun violence bullying yet. Thank God I'm not in school now, because I can't imagine, because now we're at that part. But like, they're like, oh, thank you, Slim. I punched the kid who did that to my Goku action figures. I did. I punched him in the face a bunch of times.
Oh my gosh.
I punched him in the face in front of my mom.
Oh no. Did your mom go, get him, slugger?
No, she basically was like, what the fuck? Because this is like right before I got enrolled in martial arts classes. This was actually before I punched him, before he knocked over my action figures. So this was years before. I punched him years before he knocked over my action figures. So I should have punched him then. But at that point I was taking martial arts classes, and I was learning restraint. Because,
Here's my growing up physically. Never got into a fight, never had someone threaten to be in a fight, never witnessed a fight, and never once felt the need to fight.
Can I train you in martial arts, please? I want to train somebody who has literally no experience.
No, because I am a being of peace.
So is martial arts.
Nope. If I put any martial prowess in my life, I'm a warmonger.
Okay.
Next thing you know, you got Hitler too.
No, Dalkic and I started Cobra Kai, and I'm like, I love Cobra Kai.
I love Cobra Kai.
It's so good, dude. It's so good. I love it. I love it though, because they do use a lot of it's it's choreographed, so they're very safe, and some stuff you can be like, okay, fine. But like a lot of the martial arts is pretty legit shit. Like they throw in jujitsu and arm bars and stuff. But like again, like when you compare that to like an MMA fight, you're like, yeah, you're not tightening close enough. There's not enough blood. Your head injury isn't brutal enough.
No, the Lore Lords on Pat's life it already exists, and it's ever going and always present. And you're going, one day someone will have to go through every episode and put it together into a sequential timeline. That's your guys' challenge, not ours.
Yeah, you have to make my Lore Lords.
It's the viewers to assemble the Lore Lords on Pat's life. Mine too. Mine's much more sparing and boring around, but it exists.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you've hung out on my stream long enough, you could probably start putting a timeline together.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't just talking about the Lords episodes, but like everything we do, like all our streams and stuff, things are talked about like that.
Oh yeah, I'm very open to. I I don't know if I hit my head too many times as a kid, but I think shame is a wasted emotion. Unless you hurt somebody. But, like, other than that, shame is a wasted emotion. So I basically just tell everybody all my shit.
Well, so as a kid, I was always very vocal to people who were vocal to me. So I feel like that kept everyone from just, like... I actually had a lot of friends in, like, every... You know, like, every group, every school has, like, their cliques and their groups. My group was, like, the people who, like, just got along with everybody.
See, that's nice. I was not.
Like we had our group. We had people from the chess team from the school. We had people from the football team. We had a couple baseball players. Like I was there, who was in literally nothing and played World of Warcraft and talked about video games all day. Like that's like what we were in our group. That was like it was just everybody. We were all friends. I remember the biggest thing I had shame about was being obsessed with Pokemon. Back when there was that period when it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
But I still played it. And then Diamond and Pearl came out with online play. And I was like, dude, we can play Pokemon online. Everyone's like, who plays Pokemon anymore? And I was like, well, battle me and win then if you're such a bitch about it. And then no one bothered me about it ever again.
Yeah, right? Battle me and win, bitch. No, in high school was better for me. Like freshman and sophomore year weren't great because I was focused on girls and high school relationships more than I was like what I was doing. But by like my end of my sophomore year and then my junior and senior years, I was focused on like basically my work is like everything became about becoming a good singer, becoming a good guitar player, becoming a good actor, director, writer, all those things because I started taking those classes. So I started finally taking classes that I wanted to take, and lo and behold, I didn't care about pussy anymore.
Fuck yeah!
Sorry, it just made me think of this Game Grumps video where he starts as Aaron starts as Knuckles rapping about wanting pussy, like Knuckles from Sonic. Like, he's like, I want puss. I'm gonna get some pussy. Anyway, it's pretty good. Anyway, but no, high school was like that for me, where I became generally friends with like everybody. Like my one of my best friends was the star running back. My other friend was like the other, lead bass on my team. My other good friend was like the debate kid, the science kid. I had friends, generally speaking, all around. Like,
how much of this is getting edited out? We've lost Naruto. It's so gone now.
No, I mean, I can relate it back real quick. That's like Naruto story. Like done. Okay. No, it's okay. We can call this post show too. But thanks guys for watching. I guess I had a lot of fun, and I think that the story of Naruto is the story of adolescence. It is the story of like growing up, learning what's actually important. Because again, like characters like Sakura were obsessed with boys, and like just like getting attention and beauty. Yeah. And Sasuke was obsessed with revenge, and Naruto was obsessed with basically being the best. And then Naruto learned it was important. Like he wanted to become Hokage, the leader, but not because power anymore, but because like he wanted to protect everybody. Sasuke was no longer out for revenge. He was out for like it's kind of the same thing. He kind of wanted peace again. And then Sakura was just like, oh, wow, I should definitely focus on healing people and as opposed to just how hot I am. I will never watch Boruto. No.
It's just, I don't know what that is. But also...
It's Naruto's kid.
Is that a show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. That's weird.
I'm not interested.
I didn't know that. I never knew that existed. But yeah, that was. It's again, like I said, I feel like it's something I could have got into. I just kind of missed the boat on it. I stopped watching anime at the time that it kind of came on Toonami and stuff, and I wasn't even like watching television that time. It was like video games and movies is all I did. Yeah. So well, just kind of. But the interesting thing about that is I feel like everyone who liked it was younger than me. Everyone.
See, that's weird. I kind of felt like it was always people my own age. Like I never saw people younger than me really liking it as much. I always thought people like my age and even some people who were older being really into Naruto. It's
weird because I was a kid. I remember being in high school and knowing Naruto existed, and all me and my friends like Dragon Ball and like the freshmen liked Naruto.
Right.
Like when they were growing up, they didn't. It was already off Toonami. The Dragon Ball was gone and Naruto was on. So we just didn't have, you know what I mean? Like it like passed through each other. Like it just didn't happen. There was now these two camps.
Yeah. Again, like Naruto had this stigma against it because I think as Dragon Ball fans too, because when I was younger I compared Dragon Ball to Naruto a lot because I love Dragon Ball so much, and it was another fighting anime, so I just thought it was the same thing. So I always had my chip on my shoulder, but then when I realized it was very much its own thing, it has its own story. Like there's inspirations from it. It's a shonen anime, so what do you expect? Like Naruto literally has transformations.
Yeah, it's to me it was always compared to. I think also the fact that the main characters look so goddamn similar, like clothing wise, it doesn't. Yeah, like they're both the same color scheme. Like they're both about punching each other with like special powers. Like there's so many parallels.
Yeah, but honestly, those are very surface level, and that's why
but that's what truly matters at that level of like childhood comparing things. It's all surface level comparisons.
100%.
And to the layman's, the surface level the surface level comparisons are the most important because if someone's deciding on what to watch and they have nothing about it, that's all you see.
But again, I think as an adult, you can make the judgment on being like, well, I'm not going to judge the book by its cover, and that's literally what that is. It's just like you see Naruto's orange outfit, and you're like, that's Goku.
Yeah. But there's 100%. As an adult, you can read the summary and see what the fuck it's talking about. But as a kid, you don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, no, absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not. And again, I only watched it because it was on TV, and I was like bored, and I like had nothing to do, and I was like, fine, I'll watch this. And I was like, and by the end of the episode, I was like, that was pretty good.
In the Discord we were talking about before this. You were like, oh, guess what it's going to be? And someone guessed Digimon. And I made a comment about it, which was the fact that as a kid, I fucking hated Digimon. And I hated people who liked Digimon. Because I was like, this is a Pokemon ripoff. Like, it literally just like, they're copying Pokemon, which they, to be honest, are and were. But, to me, the Naruto Dragon Ball relationship was the same. Yeah. It was the same thing.
I can definitely understand that because I had that thing too. It's definitely not. It's so far different. I think now that we've had so much broader anime since then, the comparisons have faded a lot, but at the time there wasn't as much. So like you had to compare them because there was like how many big mega Shonen Jump anime fight animes were there at that point? 4 maybe? Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, and
well, if you're talking about at that time.
Like
on Toonami, it was just Dragon Ball and Naruto.
Yeah. So like,
so it's just like exactly. They were so like you said, surface level similar that they were the same show to a lot of people.
Yeah, and so like, and it's funny because like anime now, you wouldn't compare them necessarily at all. Like now, you really wouldn't like if as an anime watcher here and all the people watching like live or listening later on, like if you're an anime watcher and you're like listening to this, like that like, oh yeah, they're nothing alike. They're
only alike in the fact that they're under the Shonen Jump banner, which is a thing that people love or hate, so.
Yeah, exactly. And I obviously love Shonen Jump because I like the hero story. I like seeing the unique trials that they put heroes through. Sometimes it's more relatable than others. And like Naruto was one of those most relatable characters for me. It's just because again, I was a loudmouth jackass who wasn't good at anything, and that like everybody was kind of lukewarm on, and people kind of pushed me away a little bit. And then as time went on, and by definitely high school, I tried to find my own, and I tried to flourish. And I still feel as though I was slightly rejected by my community in high school, which is like a difference. But one day I'd hope to make a name for myself in a good way. And then someday, similar to Naruto, return home in kind of a big way and be like, hey, Look at all what those years were.
Find that kid and shove a Goku figure up his ass. All right, everyone. Yeah. It's been we've been a long episode. This is we're going to go ahead and call the end for this episode. I hope you all liked listening to the story, to the Naruto and the Japanese mysticism comparisons, hearing some great Pat lore.
A little bit of too much.
Which, if you guys like it, it's fine. I like it. So I feel like we have a very close-knit viewership that also likes to hear it because they like us. So I like to think at least we can sprinkle a little bit of our shit in. Yeah, there. Exactly, and it's a thing. So if you like it, go ahead and follow, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys next time.